Hello, my dear students. Dr. Vaishali Bharambe here, Professor Anatomy. So let's talk about the brachial plexus. Brachial plexus is a plexus of nerves that arise from spinal nerves C5 to T1. It supplies muscles of the upper limb. So this is where it's taking origin from C5 to T1. Brachial plexus is located here. Can you see that it's taking origin from your neck, descending down, distributing itself into your upper limb? It is formed by ventral rami of spinal nerves. Which spinal nerves? C5 to T1. So it's formed by ventral rami because dorsal rami are distributed posteriorly. It's formed by ventral rami of spinal nerves from C5 to T1. Let's see how it's formed. You got your color pencils ready? Come. The brachial plexus, remember, is having parts to it. Roots, trunks, divisions, cords and branches. So we will be first drawing roots, then trunks, then divisions, then cords and then branches. That's the way we're going to do the drawing. Get your pencils out. This is where the roots are, right at the point where the nerves emerge from the spinal cord, from the vertebral column. Let's begin the diagram. Roots are 5, C5, C6, C7, C8, T1. I hope you're enjoying this because it's one of the best ways you can draw brachial plexus. I hope you're drawing. Right. So roots are done. C5, 6, 7, 8, T1. Now, let's talk about trunks. These will variably unite to form 3 trunks. What are the 3 trunks? Upper, middle, lower. So, C5 and C6 unite to form the upper trunk. C7 continues as the middle trunk and C8 and T1 unite to form the lower trunk. Got it? Upper, middle, lower. Now let's talk about divisions. Each of these trunks divides into an anterior division and a posterior division. So each is giving rise to anterior division and posterior division. Right? I've colored the posterior division blue for you to understand better. It's obviously not blue in color. Now, we'll talk about cords. There are 3 cords: lateral, posterior, medial. The anterior divisions of upper and middle unite to form the lateral cord. All the posterior divisions unite to form the posterior cord. The anterior division of the lower trunk forms the medial cord. So now you saw formation of roots, trunks, divisions and cords. The next step is to discuss branches of each of the cords. Come, I hope you enjoyed the diagram. Okay, please practice it several times. This is an hukum ka ikka. This is one of the best diagrams you can draw, and for everything you can use the same thing. Anything related to brachial plexus, you can set this diagram down and you will still get marks. So if you're liking this lecture, do please like, share and subscribe to my channel and hit that bell icon. Remember that these nerves have got fibers from the sympathetic ganglia, and this must be mentioned in your diagram and it must be mentioned in your theory answer. So this is the actual shape of brachial plexus. C5, C6, C7, C8, T1 are the roots. Upper, middle and lower are the trunks. Lateral, posterior and medial are the cords. Now it has got some important relations, like you can see how the cords are surrounding the axillary artery and medially related to the axillary vein. This artery is crossed by the pectoralis minor, dividing the artery into first, second and third part. Brachial plexus has got variable relation with these 3 parts of axillary artery. The clavicle crosses the brachial plexus, dividing it into an upper part called the supraclavicular and a lower part called the infraclavicular. Let's first learn about the supraclavicular, then I'll teach you about the infraclavicular. So let's talk about supraclavicular branches. So the first branch is given from C5 dorsal scapular nerve. C5, C6, C7 give rise to long thoracic nerve which supplies your favorite muscle, serratus anterior. Okay, it's the punching muscle. Right. Also suprascapular nerve and nerve to subclavius. There are many other nerves, but if we try to remember all of them, you'll probably remember none of them. So let's try and remember the ones which are easy and related to the upper extremity. Oh, there's an asterisk. Why the asterisk? This point where 6 nerves meet is called as the Erb's point. We will be discussing that. Can you see? C5, C6 are uniting, dividing into an anterior and posterior division and giving rise to suprascapular nerve and nerve to subclavius. 6 nerves are meeting at this point, which is called as the Erb's point. Right. The other branches given off are nerve to scalenii and longus colli and a branch to the phrenic nerve C5. We'll now talk about infraclavicular branches. First, the branches of lateral cord, then posterior cord, then medial cord. Okay, so lateral cord. Lateral cord gives rise to first branch, lateral pectoral nerve. Next branch, lateral root of median nerve, and in between the two, musculocutaneous nerve. Laila loves Majnu. How do we have romance coming in brachial plexus? I have no clue, but I love the mnemonic. Okay, Laila is lateral pectoral, loves is lateral root of median, and Majnu, of course, is our fantastic musculocutaneous nerve. I hope you enjoy the mnemonic. If you don't need it, good for you. I like the mnemonic. It's very sweet. Okay, so branches of lateral cord, lateral pectoral nerve, musculocutaneous nerve, lateral root of median nerve. A little bit about these branches you must know. So this is the brachial plexus, this is the lateral pectoral nerve, which goes on to supply the pectoralis major and minor muscles of your chest wall. This is musculocutaneous nerve, which pierces the coracobrachialis muscle and goes on to supply bicep brachii and brachialis. And this is your lateral root of median, which meets with the medial root of median to form a very important nerve of your upper limb, the median nerve, a very big nerve. Okay, we'll be discussing a lot about it in some other lecture. Right, so we now come to the medial cord. Medial cord has very peculiar mnemonic, MMMMU. Something like that. I don't know, it works for me. So, medial pectoral nerve, medial cutaneous nerve of arm, ulnar nerve, medial cutaneous nerve of forearm, and medial root of median, MMMMU. Okay, so these are the branches of medial cord. That's the mnemonic. Medial pectoral nerve, medial cutaneous nerve of arm, ulnar nerve, medial cutaneous nerve of forearm, medial root of median nerve. So if you're liking this lecture, do please like, share and subscribe to my channel and hit that bell icon. How do you differentiate between medial cutaneous nerve of arm and forearm in a cadaveric dissection? Remember that medial cutaneous nerve of arm lies medial to the axillary vein. Medial cutaneous nerve of forearm lies between axillary vein and axillary artery. That's how you differentiate. Use the images to help you understand. The lateral root of median meets with the medial root of median to form the median nerve. Did you see this median nerve, the thick nerve being formed? This is the brachial plexus. This is the medial pectoral nerve which goes on to pierce the pectoralis minor and supply the pectoralis minor and major muscle. Medial cutaneous nerve of arm and forearm supply the arm and the forearm skin. The intercostobrachial nerve unites and joins the medial cutaneous nerve of arm. Medial root of median unites with lateral root of median to form the median nerve, which descends into your upper limb, goes on to supply muscles of your forearm and is called as the laborer's nerve. The ulnar nerve, which is the leftover nerve, descends into the arm, passing behind your medial malleolus, distributing itself more in the hand than in the forearm, and is called as the musician's nerve because of the fine movements you need of your hands. Okay, so that's about each of these branches. We will move on to the posterior cord. The posterior cord has a mnemonic ULNAR. Upper subscapular, lower subscapular, nerve to latissimus dorsi. Axillary nerve and radial nerve. Okay, these are the branches of posterior cord. Mnemonic is ulnar, but the ulnar nerve is not a branch of posterior cord. Please remember that. Right. So let's see where these nerves go. Now this is the posterior cord here. You can see it giving rise to upper and lower subscapular nerve and a nerve to latissimus dorsi. See how it's descending down here. A nerve that is axillary nerve is exiting the axilla by passing through the quadrangular space and then distributing itself posteriorly and onto the deltoid muscle. Deltoid, teres minor, and a cutaneous supply to a part of your arm. So what is quadrangular space? State its boundaries, enumerate structures passing through. Very common question asked. I've given you the answer. It's up to you to read. I won't be describing it. There's a separate lecture on quadrangular and triangular spaces. Please go watch that to understand details of this space. Right. This is your radial nerve, which leaves the axilla through the lower triangular space, goes on to supply the muscles of your back of your arm and forearm, which are all called extensors. That's the radial nerve. Okay, but remember that while it's passing through the axilla, it's giving a few branches in the axilla. A branch to the long head of tricep, a branch to medial head. Difficult to remember? Let's use an image. Come. So that's your radial nerve. It's giving rise to a branch to long head, a branch to medial head, and a posterior cutaneous nerve of arm before leaving the axilla. What is the importance of this? That if the radial nerve is damaged below the axilla, you would have your tricep muscle still working because the branches were given in the axilla. Damage is beyond the axilla. So the muscle is functional. That's why you should know all this. This is the lower triangular space through which the radial nerve finally exits axilla, entering into the spiral groove. What is lower triangular space? State its boundaries. Enumerate structures passing through. Again, the answers here and a separate lecture is already made on this, so do please watch that. What are the functions of brachial plexus? Does it only supply muscles? No, you saw that there were cutaneous nerves also. It also supplies blood vessels and sweat glands. So when you're describing a brachial plexus lesion, remember to also describe the skin changes, the dryness of skin, and so on. Otherwise, you will be under describing the effects of nerve damage. Muscle paralysis, loss of skin sensation, dryness of skin, changes in skin texture. All that is because it also supplies blood vessels and sweat glands. I hope that you enjoyed this lecture. For detailed anatomy lectures, surgical anatomy videos, downloadable notes and MCQs, do please visit my website www.vpanatomy.com. The link is given in the description section. If you enjoyed this lecture, do please like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you, students.